The UN in Geneva discussed their report on the enjoyment of all human rights by older persons. In this context, the Holy See delegation emphasized the important role of the family.
As a general rule, both in normal and emergency situations, the family is the best safety net for older persons who can find protection, care, and an environment in which they may continue to be active.
Here at the UN Geneva, members of the Human Rights Council discussed a report about human rights and older persons, particularly those facing emergency situations. This subject matter is important to the Holy See as they always call to put the human person and his or her needs at the center.
In today's situation in the world, we have probably the highest percent of older population that humankind ever had. In the past, elderly people were always a resource because of the structure of living. They were living together. Today, elderly people are in danger being separated from the society. The benefit that we may have from the old people, everybody knows, is big, especially in the sphere of education, preservation of the old traditional values, also moderation. All the elderly people who suffer a lot, they know that life must be treated in a more attentive way, hopefully also somehow having an experience of life, hopefully they are also more open, consider the world more equal, more close. Let's say when you're the biggest part of your life behind you, you know that we share the same life. So it means all that differences and tensions that are typical for society in the elder population disappear, and that is a normal resource for every human activity, especially for, let's say, for the church and also for the society, having a part that will protect and promote ideas that usually would be forgotten.
In their statement, the Holy See delegation said that especially in times of emergencies, the important part played by the family, which includes older persons, should be respected and promoted.
In time of violence or when a disaster strikes, entire communities run the risk of losing their cultural identity. In this regard, older persons, rather than being a burden, should be recognized as vital actors for swift and effective recovery in those communities.
It is always a danger that the elder generation is forgotten. Why? I think there are so many reasons, and everybody can experience that because they are less active, less present, and so on. Although it's such a big proportion of the society is elder population, we can see that, let's say, in Switzerland, but everywhere you see that the proportion of the elderly population is incredibly big, no? So they might be in difficulties to present their position, their point of view. We have to say that also that elderly are less capable to adapt to the changes of the world. So the elderly people should bring to this changing restriction also another element. And they might be in difficulties to doing that. They must be protected. It is a good idea. Certainly we are not speaking about philosophers who are always, when you arrive to a certain age, you have a bigger influence. But we have to speak about people who would like to maintain also some culture and traditional values that are so dear to our environment. You can imagine all the, let's say, productivity, literature. Literature goes with the memory, with the not just the experience of a young person, but goes with the experience of somebody who lived a whole life, experience of death also, which is also an essential part for the human being, especially from the religious point of view. So it means we have to promote, we have to see that our culture, our discussion, our conversation also at the United Nations will consider always an elderly part of the population which is growing, always present, and give them a chance to influence what we are doing on an everyday basis.
As Pope Francis noted, a civilization will move forward if it knows how to respect wisdom, the wisdom of the elderly. In a civilization in which there is no room for the elderly, or where they are thrown away because they create problems, this society carries with it the virus of death.